It took me 3 years after marrying Ethan to finally realize he never loved me. He married me for revenge, for Marissa, his first love, the woman he could never have. Under his manipulation, my father died right there on the operating table. My mother, shattered and hopeless, threw herself off a high-rise building. And me? I was locked away, chained, while carrying his child. He leaned close and whispered in my ear, "Your entire family owes this debt to Marissa." I was so desperate I tried to end it all. I tried to take him down with me. But when I opened my eyes again, we had both come back to life. We had been reborn. This time, I did everything I could to stay away from him, to let him crawl back to the woman he could never have, to find redemption on his own. But Ethan kept coming back, pathetic, desperate. "Go ahead and kill me," he whispered one night. "I don't care, as long as you're willing to look at me, just once." Today is the 7th day he's kept me locked in this dark, freezing basement. My hands and ankles are chained. I can't even move. Ethan, the perfect doctor everyone once praised as the golden boy with the bright future, now stands in front of me wearing that cold, twisted smile, like a demon from hell. He leans down and asks, "Talia, do you feel trapped? Do you feel like you can't breathe right now?" Then he tells me that Marissa, the girl my family took in and raised for 13 years, lived like this every single day. I look at him, heartbroken, and whisper, "So this is why you destroyed my family. Just months ago, I thought I was the luckiest woman alive. My father was a star in the medical world. My mother, a senior executive at a global company. And me, their only daughter, loved, protected, cherished. Then there was Ethan, my childhood friend, my husband, the man who once treated me like his entire world. He was my father's favorite student, a genius in medicine, with a face so perfect it could rival any Hollywood star. Women lined up just to get a moment of his time, but every time he'd smile, shake his head and say, "Sorry, my wife's waiting for me at home." I really thought our happiness would last forever. Until a month ago. My father suddenly fell ill and needed surgery. The one holding the scalpel was Ethan. It was supposed to be a simple procedure. Everyone believed it was safe, but it failed. Ethan collapsed, acting devastated, swearing he'd never perform surgery again. My mother, holding back her tears, tried her best to comfort him. "Every surgery has its risks. You did your best. Your mentor would never blame you. He'd want you to carry on his work, to save more lives." Her words seemed to calm him, or so I thought. My promotion exams were coming up. Ethan told me to focus on studying, promised to stay with my mother, to look after her. But on the day of my exam, I got the news. My mother had jumped from a building. I ran out of the exam hall like someone who had lost their mind. When I got home, Ethan stood there, eyes bloodshot, and told me. "She tried to comfort me, but in the end, she couldn't bear it. She's gone to join your father." In just 1 month, I lost both of them. The grief almost killed me. Ethan took time off and said he wanted to take me to the beach, to help me heal. But when I woke up again, I found myself here, chained in this basement. And that's when he told me the truth. None of it had been an accident. Ethan had used every skill my father had taught him to murder the very man who trusted him the most. While staying with my mother, he secretly switched her medication, replacing her antidepressants with mood enhancers designed to push her over the edge. Then, he whispered in her ear that her husband and her daughter were both dead, because of him. He knew exactly how to destroy her, and now, here I am, trapped, helpless. He leans in again and says, "Everything I've done was for Marissa." For a moment, my mind went blank. And then, it hit me. Marissa, the woman he spoke of, was none other than Mira, my own cousin. Mira was my cousin, just 2 months older than me, after her parents died in a car accident. My mom and dad took her in and raised her as their own. When I turned 18, I passed the college entrance exams, but Mira failed. She took another year to try again, but on the night before her second attempt, she took her own life. Right now, Ethan's eyes are bloodshot as he lists out every single thing he blames us for. He spits the words at me, saying, "Marissa never had a single happy day in your house. All of you are murderers. You killed her." My throat burns as I cough and choke on my tears. I whisper, "So what?" You're going to bury us all with her now? You've already won, Ethan. You killed my parents. Go on, finish it. Kill me too. But Ethan shakes his head. He crouches down in front of me, gently strokes my face with a look that's twisted, part hatred, part something he can't let go of. I'm not going to kill you, he whispers. The person Marissa hated most was you. She told me, ever since she stepped into your house, you did everything you could to make her miserable, to humiliate her, to bully her. You're the one who deserves to suffer most, so I'll let you live, trapped, broken, wishing you were dead. And he meant every word. Ethan tortured me in every way possible. Sometimes he told me he never loved me, that he married me just to get revenge. Other times, he used me like I was nothing more than a stand-in for Mira, taking out all his twisted desires on me. 3 days later, I came up with a plan to escape. I got behind the wheel and rammed my car straight into his from behind. Metal twisted, glass shattered, and fire erupted all around us. As my consciousness started to fade, I thought I heard a woman's voice whispering in my ear, "Someone is giving you both a second chance." When I opened my eyes again, I wasn't in a hospital. I was at home. On the table, there was a bowl of porridge and some steamed buns. Sitting nearby were my mom, my dad, and Mira, dressed in the same school uniform I used to wear. I was standing there, in shock, still wearing that same uniform. Mom scolded me, stuffing a bun and a boiled egg into a food pouch. "You're gonna be late. Take this and eat on the way." I didn't come to my senses until my dad dropped me and Mira off at school. It hit me then. I really had come back. It was just another ordinary morning from when I was 18. As always, Mira finished breakfast in 10 minutes, while I took forever, half asleep at the table. Mom shoved the food into my hands and made me take it with me. When we reached the school gates, I saw the student monitor standing there, checking names for late arrivals. That face. I could never forget it. Ethan. He was wearing a school uniform, looking exactly like the high school heartthrob every girl used to have a crush on. He looked like he had stepped right out of a movie, the kind every teenage girl used to fantasize about. Back then, seeing him used to make my heart race, my face blush. But now, all I felt was cold terror, like ice crawling up my spine. Ethan didn't look at me. His eyes were locked on Mira, filled with joy, like he'd just found something he thought he'd lost forever. Right then, I knew. Ethan had come back too. He had been reborn, just like me. Panicking, I lowered my head, clutching my breakfast, trying to hurry past him. But suddenly, he called out to me, "Wait!" His eyes shifted to the steamed buns I was holding, then to Mira's empty hands. Mira noticed too. She glanced at my breakfast, swallowed hard, her expression like she was holding back tears. And that's when it hit me. This was why Ethan always believed my family had treated her horribly. Moments like this, even though she'd already eaten breakfast at home, just the way she looked at me now made it seem like we never cared for her. Like we only gave food to me, leaving her to starve. While I stood there in shock, Ethan walked right up to me and pointed at my steamed buns. "Share it with her," he ordered coldly. Mira looked up at him, eyes shining with gratitude. And Ethan. His face lit up with satisfaction, like he had just become Mira's knight in shining armor, her hero, the one who finally stood up for her. He didn't realize that I had come back too. In my previous life, I had rammed my car into his so fast, so recklessly, that he never even knew it was me behind the wheel. That's why, right now, he still believes I'm the same foolish girl who admired him, who obeyed him without question. I almost laughed. Inside, I felt nothing but cold disgust. I turned to Mira and said, "So, Ethan thinks you didn't have breakfast and told me to share mine with you. Why don't you tell him yourself? Did you eat or not?" Mira froze, clearly not expecting me to say it out loud. For a moment, she looked stunned, but just seconds later, her eyes started to fill with tears. She bit her lip, clutching the hem of her uniform, fingers trembling as if she were about to break down. After a long moment of hesitation, she finally looked at Ethan and whispered, "Thank you, but it's okay. If Talia wants to eat, let her have it. I already ate." But with that pitiful voice, with those tear-filled eyes, anyone watching would think she was lying, that she hadn't eaten anything, that she was too scared to take food from me because she was just a poor guest in our house. Sure enough, after she finished speaking, Ethan's anger only grew. His glare shifted back to me as he sneered. I know you like me. That's why, whenever you see me talking to her, even for just a moment, you get jealous. You start ganging up with your parents to make her life miserable. But no matter what you do, she's still your cousin. You can't even let her have breakfast? Ethan probably thought that after saying all this, I'd be humiliated. My heart crushed right here in front of everyone. But when he looked up, he saw me turning my back on him, calmly eating my steamed bun. His face turned bright red with rage. Why aren't you looking at me? He snapped. I didn't even flinch. I took another bite and said coldly, because just looking at you makes me sick. I finished the bun in a few bites, tossed the empty bag into the trash, and walked straight into the classroom without looking back. Neither Ethan nor Mira followed me. They didn't even show up for the first class. Ethan, the guy who had never been late a single day in his life, was suddenly skipping school. And Mira, who always ranked dead last in our class, was gone too. The whole classroom started buzzing with rumors. Some even joked that they might have been kidnapped at the school gates. But a little while later, Mira posted something on social media. Maybe it's just a simple breakfast, but because you were there, it felt like the warmth I've been searching for my whole life. The post included a picture of a bowl of wonton soup, and Ethan's face, slightly turned to the side. That's when everyone realized Ethan had taken Mira out for breakfast. The classroom exploded with whispers and stares, all directed at me. Some looked smug, some looked curious, and some looked like they were enjoying the drama. What's going on? Weren't Talia and Ethan supposed to be together? Why is he suddenly with Mira? Someone whispered. Yeah, remember the last school dance? Both Talia and Mira asked Ethan to be their partner, but in the end, he chose Talia. Why is he suddenly switching to Mira now? Look at Talia. She's got her head down. Do you think she's crying? Even if she's not, she must be heartbroken. I mean, the guy she's had a crush on for 3 years is now with her cousin. Ouch, that's brutal. I could feel all their eyes on me, some mocking, some curious, like they were just waiting to see me fall apart. But I didn't even bother to lift my head. I focused on my textbook, reading word by word. Back when I was in high school, I used to get so worked up when people talked behind my back, when people hated me. I used to spend half the day stewing over every little thing they said. But now, I knew the truth. Once the college entrance exam was over, once we all got our diplomas, most of these people would disappear from my life forever. What they thought didn't matter anymore. The only thing that mattered was the exam in front of me. Love might lie to me, but my test scores never would. After the second class, I walked with a few classmates toward the teacher's office to ask some questions. But when we turned the corner by the staircase, we ran straight into Ethan and Mira, coming back from breakfast. Mira was holding onto Ethan's sleeve, chattering away like a little bird. She'd always been shy and quiet, but now she looked so alive, so sweet, like she had found her place beside him. Ethan smiled softly at her, his face glowing under the sunlight. But the moment they both noticed me standing there, Mira's bright expression disappeared in an instant. Her whole body seemed to shrink back, her eyes darting nervously toward me. She hesitated for a moment, then whispered, Talia, are you upset because Ethan took me to breakfast? If you are, I can apologize, but please don't be mad at him. Well played. I hadn't said a single word, and yet she had already painted herself as the victim, right in front of Ethan. As expected, Ethan's heart ached for her. He reached for her hand and gently pulled her closer, whispering, Marissa, didn't I tell you? You've done nothing wrong. You don't have to apologize to anyone. Mira's eyes filled with tears again, like this was the first time in her life someone had ever stood up for her. Ethan reached out, stroking her hair like she was the most fragile thing in the world. Of course it's true, he whispered. Then, he turned to me, his gaze turned sharp, cold. Talia, you're the one who should be apologizing. I didn't even have a chance to respond. The girls around me had already had enough. Seriously, Ethan, weren't you just telling Talia yesterday how you wanted to apply to the same college as her? What's with this sudden change of attitude? One of them snapped. Yeah, switching sides is one thing, but stepping on your old feelings just to look good for someone new? That's low, Ethan. Real low, another added. One by one, they called him out. Ethan's face turned bright red with anger. Seeing things spiraling out of control, Mira suddenly rushed toward me, grabbing my arm like she was terrified. I know they're your friends. They can hate me all they want, but please don't blame Ethan. But before she could even finish, she suddenly staggered backward. Everyone watched, frozen, as she missed a step and fell down the stairs. Ethan's face twisted in panic. He rushed to catch her. Marissa, are you okay? Mira curled up in his arms, clutching her ankle, her voice trembling as she whispered, I'm fine. Please, don't fight because of me. Ethan lost it. He turned to me, his voice shaking with rage. Talia, how dare you push her in front of everyone? One of the girls stepped in front of me, blocking his path. Are you insane? She fell on her own. We all saw it, another girl shouted. Ethan laughed bitterly, his voice full of sarcasm. What's she paying you all? Her family's rich, right? But is it worth it? Selling yourselves just to help her bully Marissa? He shoved the girl aside and stormed toward me, eyes burning with rage. Do you have any idea what you've just done? This is assault. If I call the police, not even your parents can save you. I raised my phone slowly, looked him dead in the eye, and replied in the calmest voice possible. Go ahead, call them. I'll be waiting. Half an hour later, we were all standing in the teacher's office. Ethan, Mira, me, and several other students. The police had arrived and reviewed the security footage. It was crystal clear. I hadn't even moved. Mira had backed away on her own and fallen down the stairs. Talia, you should have just told a teacher. Why call the police? My homeroom teacher sighed, looking exhausted. I blinked innocently. But Ethan's the one who said he was going to call them. I was just doing what he wanted. I paused, then added, besides, now that the police have confirmed I didn't do anything, at least I have proof. Otherwise, next time someone accuses me of being a bully, or says I tried to hurt someone on purpose, I won't even be able to defend myself. The homeroom teacher looked furious, first glaring at me, then at Ethan, and finally her eyes landed on Mira. She let out a sharp breath and snapped, So, we actually have a professional actress in our class, huh? Cry on cue, fall on cue, unbelievable. Her voice cut through the room like ice as she turned to Mira. You can't even keep up with your own studies, and now you're dragging others down with you? No wonder I'm this close to losing my mind. It wasn't just the fall that set her off. First, Ethan, who had never missed a single class, skipped 2 lessons just to take Mira to breakfast. Then I had to call the police because Mira tried to frame me. Mira, who already ranked dead last in the entire grade, was now dragging down the top 2 students, Ethan and me. Of course, the teacher was beyond furious. Don't think just because you're a senior, I won't punish you, she warned coldly. But before she could finish, Ethan stepped in front of Mira, shielding her with his body. Please don't be too hard on her, he said softly. The teacher froze. She clearly hadn't expected Ethan to defend Mira even after everything had been exposed. Ethan let out a sigh, his voice warm and gentle. Yes, Mira made a mistake. But you can't blame her entirely. She's been starved for love. All she ever wanted was to feel protected, to know someone actually cares. That's why she acted the way she did. What she needs isn't punishment, but understanding and healing. A couple of girls standing nearby were so stunned they almost choked. One of them muttered under her breath, completely forgetting the teacher was still there. What the hell? Is this guy serious? Ethan didn't seem to care. He just kept looking at Mira with that soft, devoted expression. It's fine, he whispered. I know none of you will ever understand, but that's why I have to be the one to save her. Word spread like wildfire after we left the office. By the time lunch rolled around, everyone was saying the same thing. Ethan had completely lost his mind. He used to have the best reputation in school. Top student, best-looking guy. Everyone's golden boy. But after today, his image took a nosedive. The girls started calling him trash, saying he was a player who'd sweet-talk one girl one day and throw her away for someone else the next. The guys laughed behind his back, saying he must have lost his mind. Seriously? He had a rich, smart girl like Talia chasing after him. And he dumped her for Mira. What's he thinking? She's got nothing. But Ethan didn't care. He kept spoiling Mira like she was the most precious thing in the world. When she hurt her ankle, he went out of his way to buy her food, carry her up and down the stairs, even help her change her bandages. And every time she smiled, he looked like he'd just won the lottery. Slowly but surely, under Ethan's constant attention, Mira started to change. The shy, insecure girl who used to hide in the shadows began to glow. And one night, she finally broke down. She told Ethan everything. I know my aunt and uncle took me in, but they only did it to look good in front of others. They made me sleep in the storage room, wouldn't even give me a bed. Every day, I had to watch how Talia treated me. If she wasn't in a good mood, she'd find ways to mess with me just to make herself feel better. She liked you so much. She used to say that if I even dared to talk to you, for every word I spoke, she'd stab me with a compass. I knew I should have stayed away, but I couldn't. I just couldn't stop myself. You were the only light in my life, the only thing that made me want to keep going. Do you know how many times I thought about ending it all? But then I'd think of you, and I just couldn't do it. Ethan couldn't take it anymore. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. I'm so sorry. I should have noticed. I should have known, but it's not too late. I promise. I'm here now. Mira's tears streamed down her face as she whispered, It's not too late. But then, she suddenly froze, her body trembling. Ethan followed her gaze and turned around to see me, standing not far behind. I swear the universe must have been playing tricks on me. I didn't come here to spy on their little tragic love story. I was on my way to the office building to pick up some study materials from a teacher. But the moment I crossed the courtyard, there they were, standing right in front of me. By the time I realized it, it was already too late to turn back. Ethan spotted me first. He walked straight toward me, his face cold as ice. What, are you following me now? He sneered. I rolled my eyes. Seriously? Look around. This is the only path to the office building. I'm just passing by. You're the ones putting on a public show for the whole school. He didn't even flinch at my sarcasm. Instead, he let out a cold laugh. You can follow me all you want, Talia, but it won't change a thing. I don't like you. Not now, not ever. If you have any self-respect left, stay away from me. And stop bullying Marissa. I'm warning you. If you don't blame me for what happens next. He leaned in so close I could feel his breath on my skin. Once upon a time, that face had made my heart race. I had fallen for him so many times. But right now, I just wanted to punch it. All I saw was a shiny wrapper hiding a piece of cheap chocolate, bitter and disappointing. At least this time, I could finally see him for what he really was. I forced a smile. Perfect. Let's hope we never see each other again, bro. And with that, I turned and ran off like smoke in the wind, before he could even process what I had just called him. In the final stretch before graduation, just like I had hoped, Ethan and I stayed out of each other's way. I threw myself into my studies like the lead in one of those motivational documentaries about college entrance exams. Every morning I told myself, push harder, be better, make this your moment. And then I buried my head in practice tests. Meanwhile, Ethan played the role of the tragic hero in his own teenage romance drama. Every day he took Marissa out to watch the stars, gaze at the moon, pose with her under the perfect sunset, or stroll through flower gardens while snapping pictures of her laughing like she didn't have a care in the world. He posted picture after picture of their barbecue dates, plates of food filling his feed, making it look like their life was picture perfect. The funniest part? Everything he was doing for her, I was the one who had taught him how to do it. Back in our past life, Ethan had grown up in a broken home. His dad ran off with debts hanging over his head. His mom either yelling or beating him every single day. His whole life had been miserable, suffocating. I was the one who told him, when life gets too heavy, go outside, take a walk, breathe, look at the flowers, eat something you love. Sometimes that's all it takes to feel a little better. I was the one who showed him how to love, when he had never been loved before. And now he was loving someone else, with all the things I had once taught him. I thought I would feel heartbroken, but strangely, I felt nothing at all. Because now I knew Ethan had never deserved my love in the first place. There's nothing wrong with enjoying life, going out for a good meal, taking a breath of fresh air, or stopping to admire the flowers. And someday I'll do all those things again. But next time, it'll be with someone who's actually worth it. Right now, I only have one goal: to become the best version of myself. 1 month later, as the sound of cicadas filled the summer air, the exam results were finally released. And when I saw my score, I couldn't believe it. I had done it. I had scored way higher than I ever did in my past life. I had finally done it. The dream I failed to achieve in my past life, getting into one of the top universities in the country, had finally come true. Ethan, on the other hand, had completely fallen apart. The guy everyone once believed was a guaranteed spot at a top-ranked school had flopped so badly, he barely made it into an average university. I was surprised, honestly. I knew he had wasted a lot of time hanging around with Marissa. But with his natural abilities, he shouldn't have fallen this far. That was until one of my classmates leaned over and whispered, "Did you hear?" Right before the final math exam, Marissa had a breakdown. She climbed to the rooftop, threatened to jump. Ethan rushed over to stop her. By the time he got back, the test was almost over. My heart skipped a beat. The whispers didn't stop there. Some even started asking me, "Did her breakdown have something to do with your family? Did your parents really treat her that badly?" Of course not. But I couldn't bring myself to explain the truth. No matter how hard my parents tried, they could never treat us exactly the same. I was their real daughter. But I could say with a clear conscience, they had done everything they could to treat Marissa fairly. From toys to clothes, from school supplies to family vacations. Whatever I had, she had too. Deep down, I knew she never really wanted to die. Not in the past, not now. This was never about dying. It was a game, a gamble, a way to win Ethan's heart by putting her life on the line. As summer break came to an end, Marissa showed up at our house to pack her things. She had just gotten back from a vacation with Ethan, and now she was officially moving out. In this life, her exam results hadn't changed. She still didn't get into any university. But this time, my parents didn't even bring up the idea of enrolling her in a private school again. I had already told them the truth about how Marissa had been spreading lies about our family behind our backs. My parents were heartbroken. My dad sat there in silence for a long time, then finally let out a heavy sigh. We raised her for 18 years. We've done our part. From now on, she's on her own. But Marissa didn't care. She packed up every last thing she owned and headed straight for Ethan, planning to move in with him near his university. I watched her quietly, but in the end, I couldn't hold back. "Is this really worth it?" I asked. She paused, then turned around, looking at me with a smug little smile. "Of course it is," she whispered. "Can't you see? This time, I've won." And in that moment, everything finally clicked. Back when I died in my past life, I'd heard a voice, someone saying they wanted to give us all a second chance. And now I finally knew who it was. It was her, Marissa. She had been the one who triggered this. She had known from the very start that the three of us would come back. She looked me dead in the eye, her pale face twisted with pride and madness. "I've loved Ethan for so many years. I filled 3 whole journals with letters I never gave him. You know what they say, if you can't stop thinking about someone, eventually, they'll hear you. I always knew we were meant to be, but back in school, all I ever saw was you standing next to him. You showing off your little announcement on social media, telling the whole world you were together. And me, I was stuck in that boarding school, locked away, watching from a distance while you took everything I ever wanted. Why, Talia? Why do you have to take everything? You already had it all. So why did you have to steal Ethan from me too?" Marissa stood in front of me, smiling like she had already won. Luckily, I got another chance to start over, so I took the risk and bet everything on it. Because the truth is, Ethan never loved you. The one he's always loved is me. She leaned in, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "I sent him 3 journals, filled with everything I've ever felt for him. I left them for him right before I jumped. And after he read them, after he heard that I had died, he lost his mind. He started going after your family, just like I knew he would." She didn't have to explain. I already knew what those journals said. She'd twisted the story, turning herself into a helpless victim, painting my family as the ones who had bullied her for years, while pouring out her so-called eternal love for Ethan. And in the end, she left one final letter. "You are the only light in my life. If I can't have the chance to keep loving you, then I'd rather die." Marissa let out a dramatic sigh. "I know you must be furious right now, still thinking about how to steal him back, but it's pointless. I've already risked my life for him once. That kind of love weighs more than anything you could ever offer. No matter what you do, you'll never win." After packing the last of her things, she hummed a cheerful tune and walked out of my house. As I watched her leave, I didn't feel hate. I just felt pity. She was still so young when she died in our past life, barely 19. Emotionally, she was stuck at that age. Like any teenage girl, she believed that getting the person you loved meant you had won the entire world. But growing up teaches you something else. The world is massive, and the person you like is just one tiny speck in it. Even though we were all reborn, Marissa was still clinging to that childish fairy tale, still believing that once the prince and princess get together, the story ends with happily ever after. But the truth is, that's just where the real story begins. Love born out of chaos, passion that feels like it's burning you alive, always shines the brightest. But the brighter it burns, the faster it dies. I didn't say another word to her, because I knew, no matter what I said, she wouldn't listen. In this life, I just wanted to live on my own terms. After I started college, life settled into a blur of classes, late nights in the library, chasing better grades, and applying for internships. It was boring, but it was my kind of boring. My mom, on the other hand, started getting worried. I hadn't dated anyone since starting university, so she set me up with the son of one of her business partners. He was studying at a university nearby, just 1 year younger than me. I wasn't expecting much. But when I met him, I was floored. Tall, 6'2", broad shoulders, abs you could literally see through his sweat-soaked t-shirt in the summer heat. Even though I'd promised myself I wouldn't fall for someone's looks again, I couldn't help but think, damn, I could bite into that. We ended up going to a brand new amusement park nearby. It was supposed to be a casual first date. But as we were waiting in line for the roller coaster, I spotted them. Ethan and Marissa, right in the middle of a public fight. She was dressed up, clearly trying to impress him, but her makeup was smeared from crying. "Why didn't you defend me?" she sobbed. "You used to say you'd protect me no matter what. You said you were my savior, but now you're standing up for them, the people who bullied me." Ethan's face twisted with frustration. "There are so many people here. It's crowded. People are bumping into each other. Stop making a scene." But Marissa only cried louder. A crowd started gathering, whispering, pulling out their phones to record the drama. Ethan finally snapped. He left her there, standing alone in tears, stormed off to a quiet corner, and punched the wall so hard his knuckles turned red. He leaned against the wall, trying to catch his breath. And that's when he saw me, standing there in the crowd, watching. You're still wearing white," Ethan whispered softly. Back in our first year of high school, he once told me that I looked beautiful in white. I remembered that moment vividly. But the truth was, I did look good in white. And what's wrong with that? Why should I stop wearing it just because of someone like him? It would have been a waste to let a bitter memory ruin something I loved. Ethan stared at me, his eyes filled with something messy and unreadable. "After all the things I said to you, all the ways I've hurt you, you still remember that?" Before I could answer, someone slipped something cold into my hand. It was him, Puppy. He had gone to buy ice cream for me, just like I asked. He smiled proudly, holding up the last raspberry-flavored cone they had. Ethan's face froze. He looked at me, then at Puppy, completely stunned. And then his expression darkened. Who are you?" Ethan growled. Puppy looked confused for a second, pointing to himself, then to me. "I'm her boyfriend. Isn't that obvious?" Ethan's jaw clenched so hard I could practically hear his teeth grinding. Puppy glanced at him, then leaned closer to me. "Babe, who is this guy? Is he a friend of yours?" I paused for a moment, then shook my head. He's not." Ethan flinched. He looked up at me, and for a second I actually saw it. Hope. It was pathetic. Did he really think I'd say something else? Maybe that little scene felt familiar to him, like déjà vu. In our past life, someone once asked me the same question. Are you two just friends? And back then, I had smiled brightly and said, not just friends. He's my fiancé. But now, I just laughed coldly. He's an old classmate, nothing more. I grabbed Puppy's arm. Hey, the line for the roller coaster's getting shorter. Let's go. And just like that, I pulled Puppy away, leaving Ethan standing there, completely alone. That day, I avoided Ethan and Marissa like the plague. Every time I saw them heading toward another ride, I grabbed Puppy and steered us the other way. Puppy didn't mind at all. In fact, he leaned in and whispered, "Those two look kinda unstable. Good thing we're staying out of it." What I didn't expect was to run into Ethan again on my way back to campus after saying goodbye to Puppy. It had started to rain, and Ethan was standing there, soaked to the bone. His hair and clothes clung to him, completely drenched. I tried to walk past him without a word, but he stepped in front of me, grabbing my wrist. "You're not serious about that guy, are you?" he asked in a low voice. My mind blanked for a moment. His logic was so twisted, I couldn't even process it. Ethan's lips curled into a bitter smile, as if he'd just figured something out. "Oh, I get it now. He's not real, is he? You hired him. How much is he charging you? An hour? A night?" I let out a short, sharp laugh. Puppy might have been good-looking, sure, but that wasn't why I brought him here. And who the hell did Ethan think he was to assume I'd hire someone to pretend to be my boyfriend? "Thanks for your concern, Ethan," I said with a mocking smile. "But I can honestly say, life without you is incredible." I took a step back. "Anything else? If not, I'm leaving." But he moved again, blocking my way. I sighed, patience wearing thin. Does Marissa know you're out here, looking for me? Does she know you're playing these little games behind her back? Ethan froze. I smirked. "Because if you don't move, I'll call her. I'll tell her to come pick you up herself." Ethan stared at me for a long, heavy moment. Then he let out a bitter breath. "So that's it. You're just doing this to get back at me, to make me angry, because of her." I rolled my eyes so hard it almost hurt. But Ethan wasn't finished. He rubbed his temples, muttering under his breath. "I told her not to post so much, but she didn't listen. She just had to share every little thing from today, like she's proud of it or something. So that's why you brought that guy to the park." "To make me jealous," Ethan whispered. Sounding more defeated than angry, his eyes softened, as if trying to process everything. "I have to admit, you win. You made me realize, maybe I can't forget you after all." Before he could say another word, I suddenly stepped toward him, arms wide open like I was about to hug him. Ethan stiffened, shocked, probably thinking I was too overwhelmed by his confession to hold back. He even started to lift his arms to catch me, but in the next second, I walked right past him and threw myself into the arms of the dorm supervisor standing behind him. "Ma'am, help me. This creep has been following me and harassing me," I shouted. The dorm supervisor, bless her heart, immediately turned into a storm of fury. She demanded Ethan's student ID, and when she saw he didn't even belong to our university, she gathered a team of staff members and escorted him off campus without a second thought. Before they left, she patted me on the shoulder. "Don't worry, honey. I already took a picture of that guy's ID and sent it to security. If he shows up again, we'll make sure he's gone in no time." I was so touched I adjusted the lady's name badge right there on the spot. After that, I didn't see Ethan again for a while. But that didn't stop him from sending me random things. Old headphones I once lent him back in high school, pages of notes I'd copied for him, even pictures from our old school dance. It felt like he was trying to force me to remember, to drag me back into the past. I threw every single thing into the trash. One day, after dumping another pile of his so-called memories, I ran into Marissa. She had obviously been watching me from down the hall. Her eyes were red and watery. "What did you do to him?" she shouted, her voice shaking. Why are you doing this? I already risked everything for him once. When I died, he finally realized he loved me." I looked at her, looked deep into her broken expression, and I felt something rise in my chest, not anger, but sadness. "Marissa," I whispered, "have you ever stopped to think about something? When you were alive, He never loved you. He only started loving you after you died. Is that really love? Marissa flinched, like I had just struck her across the face. She stood there, fragile, pale, thinner than I'd ever seen her. The bloodshot veins in her eyes told me the truth. Even after being reborn, she still hadn't found the happiness she had been chasing. In those stupid romance stories, there's always that one tragic couple. The cold, distant man treats the woman like trash while she's alive, only to fall apart after she dies, realizing too late that she was the one he loved all along. He goes insane, seeking revenge on everyone who hurt her, before finally throwing his life away in the twisted belief that dying would somehow make them together forever. But that's not love. That's a fantasy, a twisted illusion. Some people are so broken, so disgusting, that they believe love only matters after they've lost it. Ethan didn't love Marissa while she was alive. He only started loving the idea of her after she was gone, like fireworks that explode in the sky, bright, beautiful, but gone in seconds. And once the sparks die out, what's left? What will fuel that kind of love when the show is over? What happens when life goes back to being boring and ugly again? Marissa bet everything on that illusion. But what about now? What will she do, now that he doesn't love her anymore? Risk her life? Again? I turned to leave, but Marissa broke down behind me, screaming, "You're saying all this because you want me to admit that he's actually in love with you, aren't you?" I stopped for a moment. I almost said something, but in the end, I just shook my head and walked away. At the end of the hallway, I ran straight into Ethan. He was running toward me, his face pale with panic. "Marissa, she didn't say anything to hurt you, did she?" he asked, eyes full of worry. I stared at him for a long moment. I didn't know why, but even though I hated him, I couldn't help but feel a strange ache in my chest. Because deep down, I knew Marissa would never get the love she had spent 2 lifetimes chasing. "But you still came back," Ethan whispered, sounding almost breathless. "I broke up with her, with Marissa. I figured it out, Talia. I only stayed with her because I felt sorry for her. But the one I truly love, it's you." His voice cracked, almost pleading. "You liked me once, didn't you? For 3 whole years. You watched me. You were the one who gave a couple $100 to that mechanic near school and asked him to keep an eye on me when those guys were picking on me. You were the one who wrote a report to the principal when someone else tried to steal the award I earned. You were the one who cried outside the hospital when I got hurt in that basketball game and refused to leave until you knew I was okay." He stepped closer, eyes shining with something almost hopeful. "Talia, would you be my girlfriend? I swear, this time, I'll make you happy." I let out a slow, cold laugh. Ethan's face lit up for a second, thinking I had just agreed, but the next words that came out of my mouth shattered him completely. "Happiness," I sneered. "Since when is destroying someone's family considered happiness?" Ethan froze. His lips trembled. "Talia, I didn't let him finish. You want to list all the things I did for you. Fine, I can list more." I took a step forward, staring him dead in the eye. "My dad, the one you killed. He was the one who stood between you and a knife during your first surgery. When the patient's family tried to stab you, he was almost 60 years old, but he shielded you with his own body so you could run. My mom, she was the one who paid off your family's gambling debts right before our wedding. She told me she didn't care if you ever became rich or successful. She just wanted you to treat me well, to build a simple, happy life with me." I took another step forward. "But what did you do in return?" Ethan's face turned deathly pale. He stumbled back like my words had physically struck him. I was tricked," he stammered. "After Marissa died, I read her journals. She wrote about how she loved me more than life itself, how I was her only light, how I never helped her, how I stood by and did nothing while she was bullied, while you all hurt her." He pressed his hand to his face, his voice cracking. I felt so guilty. I had to do something for her, but Talia, even then, I couldn't bring myself to hurt you, because deep down, the one I loved was always you. He reached out, voice shaking. "Let's start over, please. I'll do it right this time. I'll treat you better. I'll make things right with your parents. Don't. You're not even worthy of saying their names. I took a step back, ice in my voice. Ethan, this is the last time I'm speaking to you. If you ever come near me again, I will call the police. I turned and walked away, sunlight hitting my face as I made my way down the stairs. For the first time, I actually felt free. My phone buzzed in my pocket, dozens of missed calls and texts from Puppy. Babe? What do you feel like eating today? Babe, are you mad at me? I'm waiting right here. Babe, where are you? I'm getting worried. Damn it, Talia, where did you go? You're scaring me. If you don't answer soon, I'm calling the cops. I couldn't help but smile. Let's go get barbecue. Ethan never came looking for me again after that. But one day, I received a letter from Marissa. The letter oozed with smugness. She wrote that Ethan now knew everything about our past life and this one. She revealed the ultimate twist. Marissa had traded 10 years of her life to get a second chance. She had known all along that the three of us would be reborn together. That's why she had jumped, to set it all in motion. She also admitted that the reason she faked a suicide attempt during the final exam season was because she was afraid Ethan and I would end up at the same university again. She had to stop us by tearing us apart before it was too late. Even after Ethan learned the truth, Marissa still wrote to me, full of smugness. He knows now, she wrote. He knows I'm not perfect, that I'm broken, but he still loves me. And guess what? He proposed. See? The fireworks haven't burned out yet. We're starting a new life together, under the California sun. I held that letter in my hands for a long time, my heart cold and heavy. I didn't reply. Instead, I convinced my parents to sell the family house and move. I didn't tell them the real reason, but deep down, I knew. I was afraid Ethan would lose control again. And this time, he might come after us. That letter had been sent to our old address. It took nearly a year, bouncing between mail centers, before it finally reached me. If I had gotten it sooner, maybe I would have warned her that Ethan proposing wasn't a blessing. It was a ticking time bomb. What happened next played out like a nightmare I had already seen before. Ethan married Marissa, announced a honeymoon. But there was no honeymoon. He locked her in the basement and tortured her for days. The property manager eventually grew suspicious and called the police. Marissa was rescued, barely alive, but despite the doctor's efforts, she didn't make it. The story of the wife killer hit the news like wildfire. Ethan was arrested, charged, sentenced. He refused every interview, every visitor, except one, me. Behind a thick glass wall, I saw him again. He was heavier now, his hair shaved close to his scalp. But the moment he saw me, he smiled, a sick, pathetic smile. Talia, he whispered into the phone, I did it for you. I got revenge. For us. She was the one who ruined everything. If it weren't for her, we could have had our happily ever after. I know you'll never forgive me, but at least I did something for you. I sat there, staring at him in silence. Talia, he said again, his voice shaking. They're going to execute me soon, but I'm not afraid. This feels like a new beginning. When I die, I'll be reborn again. And next time, I'll do it right. I'll love you the way you deserve. I tightened my grip on the phone, took a deep breath, and finally spoke. The only reason I agreed to see you is because someone asked me to deliver a message. I leaned forward, staring into his eyes. I met the ones who gave Marissa her second chance. A young couple, running a strange little shop deep in an alleyway. The man called himself a soul broker. The woman claimed to be a time weaver. They told me Marissa traded 10 years of her life just to relive it all again. But you, Ethan, you don't have that option. I leaned in closer, lowering my voice. Your execution will take place at Northgate Prison, the same place where the worst criminals in the country have met their end. The soul broker told me that place is cursed. Every soul tainted by unforgivable sins gets trapped there. Forever, there's no next life for you. And if there is, you won't come back as a person. I slowly hung up the phone and stood to leave. Ethan lost it. He banged on the glass, screaming, crying, begging, but I couldn't hear a thing. The glass muted every sound, and I felt nothing. Later that year, Ethan was executed, and on that same day, I got married. My parents placed my hand in Puppy's, no, my husband's, hand. Promise us, they whispered, that you'll live a happy life. Tears welled up in my eyes as I smiled. This time, I will.